if you can imagine the challenge of making a movie like this in the first place. And I'm sure as if you saw the last movie, this is not just some people on an island anymore. It's a really large scale global epic story with characters from the original Jurassic Park, all in major roles, and of course Bryce and Chris, and so all of these people have come together in a really inspiring way. But we definitely have the right team.
Hey guys, hope you're all doing well. Now for today's video, I wanted to talk about some of the stuff Colin Trevorrow recently discussed about Jurassic World Dominion. Specifically, how the pandemic and lockdown have affected the movie's production, screenplay, and visual effects work during their time off before filming resumed. Now, the information that we're going to be going over actually comes directly from Colin Trevorrow himself in a recent interview that he did with Robert Rodriguez and Joseph Kosinski with Collider. In the interview, there were a lot of questions pertaining to how these guys got their starts in the industry and how their filmmaking journeys have all led them to where they are respectively in their individual careers. And of course, as far as Colin is concerned, all of this stuff culminated with his current work on Dominion. And one of the interesting things that Trevorrow revealed here happen to be how they've gone about tweaking the movie in order to tell their story in a post-virus world, which included some very brief but insightful info on the movie's current editing, visual effects work, and script.
I'm sure everyone agrees, the ability to just stop and think for a second about what you were doing, cut it together, make sure that, especially if you're trying something really new, that what you believed would work is working. And we got to do that, and we didn't really change the script much, but we definitely were able to cut and go into put several sequences through the visual effects pipeline and really, in a lot of ways, establish relationships between each other. Some people have worked together a lot before. Like with any movie, you're forging creative relationships over the process of it. And so to be able to have this time for all of us to know how we work together, to know each other, and then to head back in to what will be a challenge. At least we're doing it with people we know really, really well.
Now, of course, we've already kind of gone over how the VFX have been advanced and worked upon while Dominion's filming was shut down in another video. But when it comes to the screenplay for the film, I do find the news that they haven't altered too much from their script to be pretty good as well. Part of me, as a fan, was kind of worried to see whether or not this movie would turn into the production of Jurassic Park 3 back in 2000, where they just threw the script away and began making stuff up as they went along. I thought this could have been the case because of the pandemic, but luckily, it looks like they've just made a few adjustments where they needed to be made and haven't jettisoned the entire story even after this whole virus thing has swept through the world. I do hope that if they find anything that does seriously need altering down the line, they do go ahead and change that in the script. But as for, radically altering things like what happened on JP3 due to the virus that's going on right now, I think that I can at least sleep better at night knowing that that isn't necessarily the case here. Apart from that, what I think is the most interesting sort of information from this interview is actually the idea that Jurassic World Dominion has been editing together what footage they actually do have available as a means of trying to perfect the edit early on in production. They obviously have the ability to do this now because of the shutdown, which may have turned into a blessing in disguise if they actually do pick up on any inconsistencies or unclear plot elements this far ahead of the release. Now, the reason I say this is because if there is anything that I think Jurassic Park movies struggle with, it is most definitely the editing. And what I mean by that is sometimes very important scenes that explain a lot of serious material that an audience needs to know in order for a decision to work later on can get left on the cutting room floor in these movies. In my mind, this is most obvious with films like Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom and The Lost World Jurassic Park, which had a number of scenes that were either never filmed or actually did get filmed for use in the movie, but sadly got dropped from the final cut. Examples would be things like how the Tyrannosaur broke out of its cage on the deck of the ship in the second movie, where they actually explained that it was never in the cargo hold until someone lured it in there after the initial cage breakout, which was on the deck of the ship. Or even the entire idea that the Indoraptor required 3 tranq darts in order for it to really be put to sleep. Because as the movie currently stands, it takes 2, and it even tricks Ken Wheatley due to him not knowing of the 3-dart rule. But still, the audience wasn't really aware of that while watching the movie because it's just not in the completed film. Of course, there are other examples, like how Peter Ludlow broke the leg of the baby Rex, how Nick Van Owen cut the fuel lines on the Hunter's vehicles, that's why they all explode and blow up in the air, and the further characterization of Aji Sidhu, which was very integral to Roland Tembo's character arc at the end. But my point is, having Jurassic World Dominion get this early bit of time off to actually put the movie in the editing bay and figure out if everything is working and makes sense might be something good to come out of the shutdown when everything is said and done. Now look, of course, we won't know the full effects of this pandemic on the movie until after it comes out, but I still wanted to get all of your personal opinions on what you guys think about this. So at the end of the day, what do you guys make of this interview? Do you think that they're coming through with the production of this movie the best way possible? And what are your thoughts on how the visual effects are working now that they've said that they've had a lot of time to work on that stuff extensively? Anyways, guys, whatever your own thoughts and opinions may be, I'd love to hear them in the comments down below. Now, before I go, I'd like to thank all of my game wardens, as well as all of my InGen executives. I'd also like to thank all of my park workers and InGen hunters as well. Guys, it seriously means the world to me that you all continue to support what I do, and I never want you to ever forget that. Now, I'd like to thank you all for watching today's video, and hope that you all enjoyed the content. If you feel like I deserve it, I'd appreciate the like and hope that you'll consider subscribing if you're interested in hearing from me again. I'll see you all in the next video, guys, and as always, take it easy.